humanist perspective presented by the New Orleans Secular Humanist Association, following our few principles of humanism.
We're committed to the use of science and reason for understanding the universe and for solving human problems. We're skeptical of untested claims of knowledge, but we're open to new ideas.
We are concerned with securing justice and fairness in society and in ending intolerance and discrimination. We are committed to the total separation of religion and government.
We affirm humanism as a realistic alternative to the theologies of despair and the ideologies of violence. We reject the concept of an afterlife and believe in living a full and rewarding life here and now.
We value and respect each individual's right to judge and lead their lives according to their own position, as long as it's respectful of other people, living in a free society.
We hope you enjoy today's program and others in the weeks to follow. Hello, folks. Here we are again. I'm Harry Greenberger, host for the show. I have more than one guest today, and they are Marty Bankson, who is on the board of directors of our organization, and Michael Benjamin Robinson and Earl Benjamin Robinson, who are here for a particular reason, but I learned that they also were the organizers of something called the Bach group, which we're going to talk about. But what brought all of this to my attention was an article authored by Marty Bankson himself, which appeared in the national publication of the humanist organization called The Humanist. Here's the article, and what it says is, winning the right to say, I do. And it is an interview with our other two guests, and what that means, of course, I do means marriage. And I want to talk about that, but I also want to give you an opportunity to tell us about the Bach group, because I found that quite interesting once I never heard of it previously. But one thing that I read from your website says, the Bach Group is a business dedicated to providing consultative and capacity building services focused on behavioral and community health. Bach serves clients committed to improving health outcomes and or a person's well-being. That sounds like some pretty lofty ambitions. Tell us about the Bach Group.
Well, again, I'm Earl Benjamin Robinson and Michael Robinson, and so we have been working in public health probably for a number of years. I've been working in public health for the last 14 years, and Michael has been working in public health and social services for the last 17 years. And so given that work that we've been doing in that arena and the education that we attained, we thought that it was finally time for us to come together under a business to do more work inside the community to make people and communities healthier. And so we had been probably like 2 years ago, we discussed what we would want to do, because we have contracts with, we had individual contracts with various organizations and entities, and so for a long time we've been doing contractual work, but we wanted to do it under the umbrella of our business. And so 2 years ago we started mapping out a vision and mission statement, and during that time we came up with, okay, the Bach Group. And last May we went ahead, we identified another partner to go in the business with us, and so we created our website, our Facebook page, and so we went ahead and moved forward with the Bach Group. And its focus is about working with communities, faith-based organizations, schools, federally qualified health centers, to help them better do the work that they are trying to do to improve health inside communities.
Is this a for-profit or a not-for-profit organization?
This is a not-for-profit organization. This is a LLC.
Right. So you're a 501c3.
No, it is a for-profit.
Oh, excuse me. Yes, I'm sorry.
You are for-profit.
Yes.
All right.
Yes,
well,
yes,
okay.
yes.
I was going to ask you how you were funded, but that question still stands even if you're a for-profit organization. Where do your funds come from?
Well, in the past, what we've done is we've had individual contracts from various organizations. And so as work comes along and we think, okay, I want to do that or I don't want to do that, we kind of go from there.
A contract with these organizations paid you?
Yes.
And what services did you render?
Well, we've done a multitude of different types of services. As you mentioned earlier, we do a lot of capacity building. So for an organization that may need trainings on cultural sensitivity, for example, we've been able to do that sort of thing. We've been able to do such as on LGBTQ, gay, lesbian, transgendered questioning issues to help communities better deal with those issues within their communities, serve their clients who might be in those populations, whether transgendered or gay, because we've worked very closely with those populations. Earl and I have both worked very heavily within the tobacco industries as far as getting people to quit using tobacco products, so we have some knowledge in those areas. Alcohol and drug trainings on helping clients or agencies be able to provide better services. And we've both had extensive experience working in behavioral interventions that help young people, for example, choose better paths for their lives that will make healthier outcomes for themselves.
So all the things you just mentioned are all related to health, is that
Yes.
correct? Mm-hmm. That's your mission in life, is better health for people, all right?
Yes.
Well, tell us about some of the contracts you've had, or tell us about some of your current activities.
So at the present, we don't have any. Presently, we don't have any contracts, but the last relationship that I had with an outside entity was with the Clinton Health Foundation. They had funded a program. They're funding a program in Adams County, Mississippi, and they, in that county, what they were doing is doing an assessment on various health topics. My area of expertise in that activity was to help them come up with a plan on how to better work or improve outcomes as it relates to sexually transmitted infections or diseases, particularly HIV. And so inside that work, inside that community, I helped them to identify the assets that exist inside that community and come up with a very strategic and specific plan on how to ensure that prevention takes place inside the community, while also ensuring that individuals that are identified as being HIV positive, making certain that they are aware of services inside the community. So I just more or less just helped them, one, identify the assets and utilize the assets to the best of their ability to prevent HIV infection, but also ensure that those individuals that are identified as positive inside the community, they are aware of the services that exist inside that community.
Well, in New Orleans, there is the task force.
Yes, the No-AIDS task force.
Have you had some connection with them?
So I've actually was employed with the No-AIDS task force for about a year. A few years ago, and it's a great organization. I actually work very closely with them even now. I supervise various wellness center clinics with my full-time job throughout the state, and one of those wellness clinics is housed at No-AIDS Task Force. So I enjoy working with them because their missions very much align with my mission personally, to make sure that Louisianans stay healthy, can get the services that they need, and they are educated about those services.
What happens at a clinic you were talking about? Health
So
clinic?
what's really important, or I think something that's very important to both of us, are issues that affect the GLBT community, or the gay, lesbian, transgender, and questioning community. We both have worked very heavily in STD prevention, HIV prevention, because we know that for certain communities that is a very stigmatizing type of disease or infection to be to have. So we work a lot with reducing stigma with various organizations, Louisiana Public Health Institute, the Louisiana Office of Public Health, to help create destigmatizing of those diseases. So it's very important for us to be involved in that work.
Okay, now Michael and Earl came to my attention because of what Marty did in interviewing you and writing and getting it published.
Mm-hmm.
The interview was because you were the first same-sex couple to get a marriage license in Louisiana. Is that correct?
We were the second couple to get a marriage license in Louisiana. The first was a couple that was in Jefferson Parish that worked. They were clerks that worked at the courthouse. We were the first to get married, the first same-sex couple to get married in the state.
All right. Now, Marty, how did they come to your attention?
I've been interested in the whole gay marriage issue, just as an interest in human rights and equal rights. But I've been writing a couple of reports for the blog on the NOSHA website. I put out one. I did a report on the response rally they had in Baton Rouge in January, and that was mainly something that the government and Bobby Jindal had a big rally which the American Family Association backed up and put on, but it was mainly
politically in Louisiana, we're seriously outnumbered, but go ahead.
Right. So I'd written a report on that, and then in April I happened to be in Washington, D.C. on vacation, and it just so happened that week there was a scheduled hearing at the Supreme Court concerning the gay marriage issue, and I happened to get by the front of the building and was able to engage a young lady on the issue and wrote another report on that. But anyway, at the time this came up in June, late June, I knew that Earl had been a member of our group, and he posted on the Face group at certain times. But when it came up, I sort of had an idea that this would be pretty interesting. I mean, as much interest as that's following them on the story right now, local and so forth. I thought I had one more angle in that Earl is an atheist, or at least an agnostic, being a member of the group, which I thought could add a little bit more to the story. So I said, let me see, since our connection to the Facebook network, maybe let me see if I can make contact with him, and I want to see if I can follow this through and get a little interview with him.
But you had not had prior contact with him?
No.
All right, and so then you contacted him. After you became aware that they had gotten a marriage certificate, or prior to that?
No, after. Well,
how did you become aware that they had gotten this marriage certificate?
It was through the media, the local media.
All right. And so when that came to your attention, you contacted Earl and you said, "What, I'd like to do an interview?"
Correct. I said, I see you're a member of a NOSHA Facebook page at least. I haven't really met you before, but I said, would you mind if I did a little interview with you guys and post it on our blog, on our website? And he said, yeah, sure. He said,
all right. At that point, I guess you were unaware that he was going to get this into a national publication.
Correct. Yeah.
And I think it took some real courage on your part to send it to these people, because they must get lots of submissions of things to go into their journal. And What happened? They immediately said, we like the story?
Yeah, in fact, I don't think it took as much courage as you might think it does, because you're not really meeting somebody face to face. You're just sending them a copy online. It's like anything else online. You're not really confronting anybody. All they can do is say no or not say anything at all. So
I tell everyone, if there's something you want to do that requires some approval, you can get 3 answers: yes, no, or maybe. And you did it, and you got an immediate acceptance?
I got acknowledgement that they had received it the first. I think I sent it on a weekend, and Monday they received it, and then like Tuesday, Wednesday said they'd like to publish it after editing it up a little bit.
All right. Well, now has that publication? Well, I'll go back another step. Tell me what your life was like before you got married, and in addition to that, whether the publication of that article had influenced your life.
Well, I think that we tried to live a very normal existence prior to all of this happening. We bought a house in the Gentilly area a couple of years ago. We had talked about just, wanting to do normal family things, start a family, be active members of our community, which is how the Bach group even started. We wanted to give back to the community. So I feel like our lives were very just normal New Orleans before all of this happened. And then once everything happened, I think as things were starting to develop, we started realizing this was becoming bigger than we had anticipated. Yeah. So it was a bit overwhelming in the midst of all of it as it was happening, because there were several news channels following us and several supporters on radios, on social media. And so it was very overwhelming at first.
I see. But you've survived this new celebrity.
Yeah.
Now, I presume that you had supporters and people who congratulated you, and also people who were unfriendly. Is that true?
I can't say that we've had a lot of overt individuals that would say, that something was wrong or we were wrong, and they were mad at what we had done. I think we've, over the years, just by natures of being Black gay men, we've faced individuals like that. So the little comments that we might have seen here or there on social media really didn't affect us very much.
And they weren't necessarily directed towards us. In fact, going into this, I kind of expected for there to be a tremendous amount of negativity towards us. But while we were involved in the process, and this is not to negate or to say that negativity didn't happen, but for the most part, I saw a lot of Louisianans congratulate us and just told us to keep on moving, keep on trucking, and they were excited for us. And these were Black people, white people, young people, old people. And I think when I'm 102 years old, I'm going to remember that from this experience the most, that people were able to push or put their issues aside and just be excited and happy for individuals who were in love and wanted to validate that love.
Well, as you know, Governor Bobby Jindal was told the people in Louisiana not to issue the certificates. Mm-hmm. Fortunately, they didn't all go along with that. Now, you had a marriage certificate, which is a government form. Now, a lot of the religious people hate this concept of same-sex marriage because they think it forces churches to perform such wedding ceremonies. It doesn't do that at all. Right. You're legally married by a government document. Mm-hmm. Did you also have a wedding ceremony?
We did have a ceremony with Judge Paula Brown, who married us on June 29th around noontime. And we were fortunate enough to work with the Forum for Equality, who had worked with Judge Brown and identified her as someone who'd be willing to do this, and was glad to be the person to do this, and we were very honored that she was the one to marry us.
Well, that all sounds good. Now, Marty, did this, we know what it did for their celebrity. Has this done anything for your status in the world?
I would say no.
Well, I'll tell you, when I saw your article in there, I was very much impressed. Well, so has life been different for you since you are publicly married?
I don't think it's been different for us. More people recognize us.
That's different.
Yeah, that is very different, and that's on a national and regional level. But I think that's about the only thing that has changed, that we just get recognized more.
Right.
And that's about it. I mean,
well, as far as that's outwardly, I think that's the biggest thing. That's a change. But I think for us, on a more personal level, and Earl has mentioned this on other occasions, and I agree, that I think having that piece of paper, even though it's just a piece of paper, validates us. It makes us feel like we are true citizens. It makes us feel not negated. It makes us feel responsible to one another. So it means something more than what we.
And it's not just a piece of paper, because heterosexual couples have legal advantages, major legal advantages, that same-sex couples did not have until it could be called a marriage.
Yes.
And I'm talking about major discrimination regarding death benefits, Social Security benefits, who can visit you in the hospital.
Right. Definitely.
There was a real discrimination there between one kind of marriage and the other, and that's the important thing. I mean, aside from public awareness that it's only fair that same-sex couples should have the same advantages, it's a monetary thing as well, and of course the Supreme Court decision was 5-4.
Right.
And I don't know how many people know that the Supreme Court, 9 justices, 6 are Catholic and 3 are Jews, which meant that at least 2 Catholics had to vote in favor of same-sex marriage. That is really surprising, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we still have a few minutes to go, and I think Marty or either of you might have some additional comments about what happened, what you're looking forward and expecting, or whatever.
One thing I want to say, I want to thank Marty, first of all, on behalf of both of us, for the article that I think was wonderfully done. I think one issue that I think Marty helped bring to the forefront with this is that it's not over yet. I mean, I think that what you said just now is very important, and it's very true, that a major hurdle has been crossed for gays and lesbians across this country to be able to feel like equal citizens and be treated as such. But Earl and I both know that even now, as according to Louisiana law, we can be fired from our jobs just for having this conversation, or for just acknowledging that we are gay or being married. And we know there are housing discriminations that are still taking place, and so we're grateful for the opportunity to be able to shed light on those issues, because it's not over yet. There's much more fight to
What
happen.
you just mentioned requires some legislative action. Considering the makeup of our legislature, it's not too likely, is it? I mean, it's a really
It's an uphill battle, but I'm so glad that Forum for Equality got us involved to do our part, to play a part in history, and they're going to continue to be a part of ensuring that LGBT individuals are working towards ensuring that LD individuals are not discriminated against. And so I'm so glad that in the state of Louisiana, we have an organization like Forum for Equality that is standing up for LGBT individuals and their rights and working for them to ensure them the rights to be who they are in the state that they live in.
They're a formidable organization and highly regarded. Marty?
Yeah, along those lines, I'd like to ask maybe a little private question, but maybe you could share and on the deal about the legality about your plans for a family. How about kids in the future? What's the legal status on adopting children?
I don't know the specifics of the laws around that. I would think that the state is probably still having to work some things out with language inside policies that presently are on the books. But I think for us, we are looking into possibly identifying someone to have a child for us and do in vitro. And so that's the most important option that's presently in front of us. Another option is possibly adoption at some point. But I think right now we're more focused on doing, identifying, we have identified someone to do in vitro with us so that we can have a child.
Yeah,
Now, go ahead.
I just want to say, prior to all of this happening, we actually went to the adoption classes sponsored through the city and tried to start the process of adoption. And, one of the things that was disheartening that this ruling has also affected is that we couldn't adopt with both of us being the parents because the legalities don't allow for two gay men to adopt. So we would have had to make the decision that only one of us could actually be the legal adoptant.
We've just got a minute or so left, and I'm going to ask the question you knew I was going to ask, because, Michael, you are religious, and Earl, you are not. Mm-hmm. How do you work that out?
Well, first I want to say that I don't consider myself to be religious. I do say I'm spiritual, and I would, by most people's definition, I might be closest to agnostic, but it does cause a bit of conversation between us, a lot of debate, but I think very good, healthy debate, though. Yeah.
All right. Well, so you don't, do you attend any church services?
I don't subscribe to organized religion. I'm not against it, but I don't really participate in it.
Well, when I hear people say, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual, I don't really understand that.
Me neither. I don't understand that at all.
I can explain if you don't mind. I want to just quickly say that for me, religious is more about traditions and rituals and societal type of conformality and stuff like that. And I don't believe that you have to have any of that to have a relationship with a higher power. Okay. So those things are religious, and me having a relationship with a higher power has nothing to do with that religious aspect.
Okay. Well, listen, I think our time has just about left us all, and I want to thank the three of you for being here. And I want to thank you folks for being with us also. And you can catch us through the internet in various ways. And we'll see you again.